Well, yeah, I guess let's go ahead and get started. I believe this is episode number 32 of the Autonomous Humanity podcast. Last one of the year, saving the best for last, right?
That's right.
Well, I have a guest here, Kristine Croft, who I met actually a few weeks ago or so, but you had actually already had a relationship of sorts with my parents, and then actually more so with my neighbors across the street. And
Yep.
we got talking over at my parents' house, and
Yep.
it was really just kind of amazing how much we hit it off. Of course, I droned on for as long as you would let me about the work that you're doing, and you were at least kind enough to feign interest in it. But here you are, and you've seen a little bit of our workshop and heard a little bit about our work, and definitely looking forward to getting out to the drone park a little bit later.
Absolutely.
But want to flip the script a little bit and give you some time to share more about your work and your life, more generally speaking. So
Cool.
if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about who you are, how you would describe yourself, and maybe even wrapped up around the work you currently do.
Okay. So I'm Kristine, but AKA CPR Momma. Everybody knows me as CPR Momma, but basically I'm divorced. I got 2 boys. I now have a grandbaby who's 7 months old. Love her to death. Yeah. But so my business kind of evolved when I was a firefighter and medic in Virginia. And that, I kind of did that as a supplemental, to being a mom of 2 boys. It was something to do. It was a medical field that I loved doing, and it was volunteer at the time.
And really quick, now, where's this geographically? Because we'll get into this, but you've worked and lived, all over.
Yeah. So I was in Virginia for, 20 plus years. That's where I met my husband and my ex-husband, birthed my kids there, started doing all the medical field and behind the scenes, from being a first-time mom to doing supplemental income. But so Virginia, the Fredericksburg area is where it all started. And that's where I became CPR Momma. So that was the business actually started in 2000, January of 2000. So It's almost 26 years old.
Yeah, wow.
And again, it was just out of the necessity of needing some part-time behind the scenes work. I was like, okay, I'm in firefighting and medic, and I can, do all this stuff in the background. So that's where CPR Momma was born. Originally, I called the business KC Health and Safety Training, but that was too long. And who's going to remember KC Health and Safety Training when you Google that, So I was like, let me make it easier, CPRmomma.com. Everybody can remember CPR Momma. So basically, that started where I was training CPR, AED, first aid, all aquatics training, so lifeguards, lifeguard instructors, water safety instructors. I did AED training and certifications, and started placing that. Back then, that's when AEDs were starting to become popular, right? And they were these big old things. And
have you actually, sorry.
That's okay.
Of course, it's like something drone related comes to mind.
Exactly.
I just got to get it out. You've probably seen some of those defibrillator drones now. And
exactly. And I want to be involved in that big time, because that's if we can get that in the United States, whew.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I love seeing, videos of. I mean, we're just doing a simulated cargo mission, which very well could be a defibrillator. Yeah. Do you know roughly how much like those portable ones weigh? Is it like...
So the one that I've got, it's a Cardiac Science G5. Without the case and everything, it's probably 12, 15 pounds.
Okay. A little larger than what our current drones support.
Yeah. But there are some very compact ones that they've got now that actually Forsyth County has a program where they've put them in homes.
Okay.
And they, if somebody gets a call at your address and your neighbor's got one of those, they get deployed immediately. Because ideally within 3 minutes, you want an AED to a patient.
And that's just like a volunteer program?
Yep, it's a volunteer program.
Wow. Okay.
And they've got the very small ones. I think they're called Alive, if I'm not mistaken.
And you, as a Forsyth County resident, you would buy one and then you just register.
I think
Forsyth County.
they provide them. Now, that being said, that program is full. I looked online last week.
Okay.
Because I'm very interested in obviously doing it. But being a member, since I already have my own AED, I'm not sure if they would accept the outside.
We're like, we want to help people that doesn't already have access to the,
Now theirs is a little bit less, I would say, superior to mine. Mine's actually the top of the line. But that being said, it's still a great program because the chance of you being able to have your neighbor have one is great because response time from 911 is typically 8-10 minutes out, maybe even more. And that time frame, having an AED at a scene is crucial.
Right.
So I understand why they're doing the drones and, the Europe and all that kind of stuff. So having it here would be muy bueno.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it's not happening at some scale, even here in the U.S. But unfortunately, just not at the scale that especially the way I would like it. That any individual could just have their own drone, whether it's at their house, they just take out their car, they have it outside their business, and they could automatically deploy it. Right.
And the lives that could be saved.
Countless,
so
right?
Cool.
But think about all the lives that would be put in jeopardy because what happens if the drone falls out of the sky?
Exactly.
That never happens like in our test flight yesterday. But given that was some code on our spotlight, that's my story and I'm sticking with it. So, there's no such complex code on a defibrillator, I would hope, that, would bring down one of our drones. But,
True.
Yeah, so you started CPR Momma back in 2000, literally right after Y2K. Which
exactly.
Of course, my brain was like, hey, maybe made some of like the digital record keeping, a little more simple, but that was all overblown as well.
Yeah.
So. Now, so when you started CPR Momma, you're doing the training, as you were stating. So where did it evolve into, post training?
So basically so at that time, the American Red Cross was what they had chapters. So it was all these different individual chapters. I was heavily involved with one particular chapter and was their main go-to person for all their training. They went away from the chapters and now they're kind of a main global, like Atlanta's got a big headquarters and they don't do the individual little chapters anymore. So they've kind of changed that program. But at that time, I was constantly, in the whole Virginia region, a wide region, like a 50-mile span at least, where I was doing a lot of training. And then at that time, that's how you got your cards. Remember the days of if you ever had CPR training, you got a physical card?
Yeah, I don't think I ever did. Maybe my mom did that or my brother did that at one point.
Probably, yeah. But then what happened was people would forge these cards, right? So we'd go to the Red Cross, we'd get our cards. Yeah. They're like, scratch out the name and somebody. So now, of course, then we get into the digital world and everything's online. So they went away with chapters. And at that time, when the recession hit is when we moved to Georgia. Stupid time to move, but we're like, all right, we'll move to Georgia. So, my business is a lot of word of mouth, right? So I had all my people recommending me in Virginia, but ain't nobody know me in Georgia, so it was like, okay, I had to start from scratch. And so, but I slowly got my people and, word of mouth. And now I've become this huge, I've got 5 states that I cover. I service and place AEDs in these 5 states. I do a lot of training. The training more is around, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. I've got a few in Florida, but the AED stuff is huge. That's becoming more prevalent, just because businesses have them. Of course, all fitness centers, all aquatic centers, colleges, schools, all that kind of stuff. So, but then when the Red Cross went to the global, kind of region-wide, whatever.
More like federalized,
entity.
or centralized.
Exactly, yeah. They stopped using us instructor trainers to do all the individual stuff, and now they do it inside house. So, of course, by that time, I had already gotten all of my personal, people and stuff. And so, really, even though I have a website, I don't really use that website as a platform to get new people, because I already have my word of mouth people, know. I kept one client in Virginia. They're my favorite people. They're like my family. We go every other year, so that's fun. I get to see all my friends and stuff. But so basically, fast forward to the last 3 years, getting up there in age, I decided I'm going to kind of start streamlining down, which is what we talked about earlier, and kind of whittling down what I don't want to do versus what I want to do. So I don't do any of the instructor trainers anymore. I don't train the trainers. I used to be top dog. Now I don't care. So now I just stick to doing businesses. I go to their place. I have an office that I used to have people come to. They don't come there anymore for training. I go to them. Delta Airlines I still have. They're one of my clients. Not sure if I told you that.
Yeah.
Delta Airlines, yep. So I do the safety. I do the water safety for them for when you are on an airplane and you land in the water, hopefully alive.
Or hopefully not landing in the water. Hopefully on the runway.
Not at all, exactly.
Yeah.
But God forbid, that happens. They teach you how to disembark. It's called water ditching.
Okay. Yep.
And so, so I head up the water safety for them. So I've been doing that for like 18 years with them, because I've been here in Georgia just shy of 20 years now. And so that's a fun gig that I still keep. But so I've whittled it down. And what I've decided in the last 2 years is I'm doing semi-retirement in the summer. I get the heck out of the heat of Georgia in summer. I went to Alaska for 6 months, where I showed you that one video, and loved it. Absolutely fell in love with the whole getaway and do completely something different. I'd never really done retail before. I did retail. I was kind of their backup medic because they didn't have really much of a hospital per se. They had a little clinic. I didn't have to respond to anything major, so that was good. Within the last, I should back up a second, because when COVID hit, I was asked to go full time in the movie industry as a medic because of there wasn't enough medics to go around for COVID compliance and medic. So I did movie industry full time. Before that, I had just dabbled and did what's called day plane.
Okay.
And I have an ambulance, as you've seen, that I take to the movie set. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Big hit, I'm sure. There.
Yeah, so much fun. So I have an ambulance that goes there, and I'm, one of the actually, I think I'm the only medic that has an ambulance on the set. But then, so I did movie industry from mid-COVID 2025 to, not 2025, I'm sorry, 2020 to 2023, I believe it was, the end of 2023. Yeah, something like that. Full time, and that, that was my bread and butter. That was it. I made it, and I was able to continue building CPR Momma back up to where it used to be because nobody wanted to do anything, obviously in COVID, to include mouth to mouth with a God forbid, mannequin.
The mannequin does not have COVID.
The things people think about. So that ended up being a good thing of, I'll keep CPR Momma, building back up in the background while I do the medic for the movie industry. And then I was able to sustain life again. And so I went back to day plane for the movie industry. So, yeah. So the semi-retirement has come in to where now I just work October 1st through mid-May, and then I go, bye. So last summer I did Wyoming.
And that's where you met my parents, right?
Yep.
At least more formally speaking.
Exactly.
And then,
yeah.
And I say that
which
because
was funny because
you used to do bowling with my neighbors, which my parents also did bowling for, I don't know, at least a handful of years, the better part of a decade. So I may have ran into you there at one point. But yeah, my parents went out to Yellowstone, Wyoming, you know.
Little town called Dubois.
Dubois, okay.
Dubois, Wyoming.
And is it spelled like Dubois?
It is spelled Dubois. There's a funny story behind that, which is basically a long story. The guy that, Mr. Dubois, when he named the city, the people in Wyoming said, we don't like you, so we're going to make fun of you. So they purposely changed it to Dubois, spelled the same so that it's not, defaming his name, but they literally have bumper stickers now that says Dubois, not Dubois. And so they're like, haha, we're going to stick it to you, buddy.
I love those instances of like city names like Cairo, Egypt, of course, but then there's Cairo, Georgia. And then I had the same problem where I wasn't sure, where I was familiar with Cairo, Georgia being from Georgia.
Yep.
Obviously familiar with Cairo, Egypt. And I was doing my first solo cross-country flight. So before I got into unmanned aviation, drones, I was in manned aviation, started taking my first flight lessons when I was 11. When I was either 16 or 17, I did my first solo cross-country flight, and I planned out a flight across like 5 states. And one of the stops I landed at was
Cairo.
Cairo. I think Cairo, Illinois. It was like just outside of Kentucky. It was like Kentucky, Illinois, or maybe Indiana. I don't even remember. But I landed. I was like, I am in Cairo, right? And they're like, no, that's in Egypt. You're in Cairo, boy.
That's awesome. This is Georgia.
But that was the Cairo, Indiana, or Illinois, or whatever. But still, southern Midwestern sort of rural folk, and
That's funny. I love that.
But so you got into the movie industry, and is that when the ambulance came in, or where?
Yes.
Okay.
So funny story on that one. My buddy who used to, before COVID disastered everybody, he had his ambulance company. He did non-emergency transport, and he got a call to go do FEMA in California. So I get a call. Now I told him before he left that I said, look, I'll be your backup medic in case somebody calls in sick with COVID, I'll run some calls with you and help you out. Because of course I needed the money too. And he's like, all right, cool. So I ran several calls with him. Now that being said, and I love Dustin, but I knew his ambulance and it needed some love. She needed some love. Her name's Betsy. And so knowing the things that were wrong with Betsy, fast forward to him calling me. He goes, hey, I got a call. He goes, I'm going to sell Betsy. Would you like, I wanted you to be the first one to
He already had named it Betsy?
Yeah. He already So I kept her name. She's a good name.
Isn't it like Betsy Ross, like the flag maker? Okay.
Yeah.
And not named after that, do you know? Or?
I have no idea. Okay. I should ask that. So he says, do you want to buy her? And I go, look, I've been running calls with you now, and I know all the things that are wrong with Betsy. You're going to either have to give her to me or give me a kick-ass deal on her. So knowing that he needed to make some money too. So he goes, all right, fine. So can I disclose? I don't mind.
Yeah.
I paid $2,500 for her.
Wow.
Now, that being said,
needed some TLC.
I had to put a lot of money into her. Still to this day, I am still replacing all the old and making her new. So
Out
I
with
have
the old
one.
and with the new.
Yeah, I have one major $20,000 transaction that still needs to be swapped out, which is a transmission, starter, and something else that's connected to all that. But she has evolved and she has stuck with me. And she's been to Alaska, she's been to Wyoming, and she's got what does she have? 327,000 miles on her.
Yeah,
Keeping
that's
on,
good.
she's keeping on ticking. So yeah, so I was able to get her up and going, and she's been to my movie sets, and she's going one in January.
Now, just with all the cross country driving, I mean, Brian and I, to a much smaller scale, probably do our fair share of maybe not cross country driving, but
Yep.
road trips
Yep.
and going doing like customer site visits. And we had a tire blow out on us. Get off to the side of the road, change the tire.
Yep.
Do you have anything happen like that with Betsy, where ever it left you stranded? And
So, knock on wood, her tires, because I upgraded her tires are great. However, last summer on the way to Wyoming, I was in a campground and seeing my best friend, and I back in.
other than me, of course.
Right, exactly. My second BFF. And I back in, and I look up the drive. It was a long drive, and I look up the drive, and I see black, a whole black streak, and I'm like, oh, that's not good, because I had just had her oil changed before. I'm like, you got to get.
Yep.
And I'm like, that don't look too good. So I go walking up, and you can see the little twirly twirl where I turned around and backed in, and I was like, So I crawl up underneath there. It's amazing what you can learn when you like watch them do what they're supposed to do. And I'm always interested in, how does that work and how does that put together? That's why this stuff is super interesting to me. And so sure as shit, I crawl up underneath there, and the oil thing was loose. The filter was loose. And I'm like, oh, shit. And by that time, I had driven 2 days.
Yeah.
So, it
It wasn't a little minor, yeah.
Exactly. It was like this slow little and I thought, oh. So I had to basically get up underneath there, take it all apart, put it all back together, put new oil in, and she was rocking and rolling. So that's the only faux pas that I've had on. Oh no, I take that back. On the road, I take that back. Stand by. So
Yeah.
I forgot. On the way back, did I tell you about this story? I may not have. On the way back, I was literally, I drove to Atlanta, stopped in Atlanta, and saw my boyfriend, and then we detached because I pulled my car. So
Yep.
I'm a sight to behold. So that car
Gets towed by the ambulance.
Gets towed by the ambulance.
Which I don't want to like dox you, but it's an SUV, so
Yeah.
I mean it's not like
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a Ford Flex with all this shit on top, And so I pulled that. We separated it. He was going to drive the ambulance. He's a bigger guy. He's going to drive the ambulance. I drove my car back to Cumming. And he calls me on the road. He goes, should this be hard to steer? And I go, no. I'm like, I got power steering, it's not like it's that old, He's like, should I be able to not brake very easily? It's like going all the way to the ground. I'm like, what? So I was like, what the hell, So we make it to Waffle House where we're going to have breakfast. Pull into Waffle House, and I look underneath. I get out, look underneath. My belt is hanging down. I was like, oh, seriously? So I had made it all the way from Wyoming to Cumming, Georgia, without that belt breaking before. I mean, sometimes I was in the middle of the night driving, And I was like, oh.
Lucky that happened. Yeah, like right at the very
and
end.
Thank God he could, because power steering, gone.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, this should not be this hard.
Manhandling it, yeah.
And I was like, oh. So thank God I've got these great guys that they're roving mechanics They came the very next day, fixed it in the parking lot of Waffle House.
That's amazing.
But there was one piece, the tensioner, that they said it wasn't bad, but typically they replace that anyway, right? So, excuse me. So he goes, it's fine, but I don't like not having it. But that piece wasn't available. So the very next week, literally exactly a week later, I was in Memphis doing AED service, and power steering went out, couldn't brake. I'm like, oh, and it felt like I was driving over gravel. And I'm like, I know damn well that went bad. The belt's gone, it's being eaten. So I was able to limp it to a little mom and pop shop right across the street from where I parked, and they were able to get the tensioner. 4 hours later, wow. I was out the door, all fixed. I knew nobody in Memphis.
Yeah.
So I called those guys my angels.
Well, Brian and I had a similar spot where we were looking for a tire shop when we were in a rental car, and so yeah, we were like,
of course, the rental.
Yeah, well, because in the Subaru we have actually the Subaru, it's a donut, right? It's not a full size.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forget, but. But we're like, oh, well, we have to get a replacement tire. And I think Anton was his name. Shout out to Anton. Not that he'd be watching, but yeah.
Hey,
it's those
know.
angels, in
See?
Spartanburg or Memphis,
See?
that get you out of a pickle.
Absolutely.
Now, like with the oil filter, was that something that you just knew how to do, or were you like pulling up YouTube on your phone? And
Nope. By watching those guys do my oil change, that's how I knew it.
Awesome.
And I even the gasket that you got to make sure that I take that out, So yeah.
You don't even need YouTube.
Myself.
Yeah.
I know, right? Who needs? Just got to watch a great mechanic.
Just be observant, and pay attention to those, doing work around you, and you won't need to pull it up through a screen instead. Yeah.
Well, and my guy, he always lets me, because when they pull it up on the thing, and believe it or not, she's like 13,000 pounds. So, and he's got the lift that can lift
Betsy's
that thing.
a heavy girl.
I always go, how in the hell do you do that? Because she's got some serious batteries that I've upgraded to, and so I always crawl up under there with him. I'm like, all right, what is that? What does that do? Because he upgraded my fuel system too.
Okay.
So now I've got a fast fuel system. So shout out to Ben Diesel. He put on a fast fuel system. So I've got 2 filters that I know how to change there. So he's taught me a lot, and I'm super grateful because now I know the basic mechanics of how it works.
And that's something that, again, I really kind of envied, or again, maybe not, but appreciated about us talking together, even that first time, is it seems like you just throw yourselves into, pretty much everything in life. And, hey, let me learn about this. And, hey, I may not use this in a career, but it's just going to make me a better, more well-rounded or more capable person.
Yep,
and,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So you got into the movies, which of course, who doesn't like talking about movies, right? What was it like for the first set that you were a medic on? Did you know what you were getting into then, or was it just like, hey, I'm showing up, this is kind of a cool opportunity?
They're like, you got to have, so it is a funny story, actually. So, of course, they say, okay, you got to have your medic kit. And I'm like, all right, when I do other gigs, I have, a few bags here and there. Some of these medics, like, they are badass. They've got a whole shebang kit that this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, because of course, this is right before I got the ambulance, And so they're like, all right, you do your list, blah, blah, blah. So you bring all your stuff. So the first day on the set, these guys, like, they've got carts and carts of all their gear, right? Like all the electrical stuff, and all the gaffers got their plugs and their wires out the yin yang, because as you know, you got to plug everything up, as you guys know. And so one of the guys had dropped a couple of, wires, and they have them all rolled up, all nice and neat and everything. And I, being I'm a medic, I'm a helper, I want to help people, right? So I get up out of my seat and I go, I got chastised.
Yeah.
They're like, you're the medic. Stay in your lane. And I'm like, they dropped something. I'm helping them to. No. I
We'll
learned.
have a problem with the union.
Right? Exactly. I learned very quickly. You stay in your lane. And so, do you know how hard it is to just sit there and watch everybody walk by as I'm sitting there with all my medic gear in case, of course, I have to do my job. But man, that was hard. So I learned.
Yeah, we need
quickly.
a radio. We need to get the radio person to radio another radio person
Right?
close to the lighting person. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So you really, you gotta learn to stay in your lane and do your thing. But let me tell you, it has been so fun to, because of course I'm right up there with the actors and the directors and all the, the mucky muck people. But I'm telling you, those are some of the hardest working people that you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
I respect the shit out of them because all the crew and that, people watch a movie, right? They go, oh, that's great. The hard work that goes behind it and the zillion takes.
Yep.
And let's do a 5th take and a 6th take and you're like, oh my God, these days become so long, but so worth it. But the people that I've met it's incredible. They call it a movie family. It really is a movie family. Met some great actors and actresses, hands down. Even before I actually was officially in the movie industry, my business, I got a call from Adam Sandler's crew, and I got to teach Adam Sandler's kids how to swim.
Wow.
Hung out with Adam. At that time, my business was putting on a golf charity tournament for Stick It to Cancer. And because all my business friends two in particular had started Stick It to Cancer. And so my company put on this golf charity tournament. I don't know nothing about golf, but my friend Tom does. So I'm like, come on, we're doing a golf charity tournament. And that was when I was teaching Adam Sandler's kids, told Adam about it, of course. Who doesn't love golf but Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
So
Happy Gilmore himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he signed a bunch of golf gear, and
That's incredible.
I was able to auction it off, made some great money for the cause, and thanked him tremendously. My kids got to meet him. So that was cool. That was probably the best, most rewarding experience. But all the actors and everything that I've gotten to meet, and of course my boyfriend's a director, so that was just a never was looking to find somebody.
Do you mind going into that? Would you mind sharing
Sure.
how you met, and can we name him?
Sure.
Yeah. So Sean McNamara.
Yeah.
He you may have heard of him. If you haven't heard of him, you've almost definitely heard of. Probably many pieces of his work.
Yeah.
One that I wasn't actually familiar with, but was slightly before my time. Or
Right.
Was it 96 Soul Surfer? Right? Was it?
What year
But
it was.
it was
Yeah.
either like just before my time or when I was a wee
Wee little one.
lad. But the movie that I actually still haven't seen it, but I was really impressed, not just with the movie as I've heard of it, and of course
Yeah.
him producing it, but especially with all the pushback with the Reagan movie.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid,
Yeah.
he was one of my favorite childhood actors growing
Yeah.
up. I know he has gone and done the rounds actually, and doing some promotion for the movie.
Yep.
Talking about how no one was really able to advertise it or
Right.
market it because
of all the political.
Yeah, and it was bring too much positive light to conservative or Republican
Exactly.
ideals, and
Exactly.
fuck
Oh,
Donald
yeah.
Trump, right?
Right. And that, even that, the timing, because they had filmed that a couple years prior for it to
Yeah.
even finally coming out. And because of all, and then of course the timing of it, when it did come out, it was right at the,
Election, yeah.
good job, guys, But yeah, and that's actually, so Dennis Quaid also did a movie called On a Wing and Prayer, which is what I was the medic for, and he was the director for. So that's how Sean and I met. Again, we're not looking for each other, but it just kind of fell into place.
Serendipity, yeah.
And here we are 4 years later. 4 years later, yeah.
Well, yeah, just also came to mind. Maybe also people more my generation would know his work with "That's So Raven,"
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yes, he
yeah,
did.
yeah. He produced "That's So
Absolutely.
Raven,"
Yep.
and I think this was one of Brian's go-tos. Even Stevens, right? That
Yep.
was
Even
Shia
Steven.
LaBeouf
Yep.
growing up.
Exactly.
So.
He was the one who got Shiloh started. Yep, because of that.
Started, and then maybe could have used a little bit more mentorship or
Exactly.
guidance, but
That aspect of his life didn't start that one,
Yeah.
but yeah. And then his latest ones that one just went to the network platform, the online network platform, which is Soul on Fire. So Sean does inspirational and based on true events stories. A lot of his movies are, and that is based on John O'Leary out of St. Louis. He was burned, 100% of his body was burned as a 9-year-old. And his sister, I believe it was his sister, who kept his face wet with a cloth or what have you, which is why he doesn't have a lot of burns on his face. His neck, I believe, still has scars and everything, but he wasn't pegged to live. He wasn't supposed to live. And the baseball announcer, can't remember his name. It's going to kill me for not remember his name. But just look up
Soul on
Fire. Yeah. But William H. Macy plays the baseball announcer who had a...
Jack Buck?
That's it, Jack Buck, who had a very integral part of this kid surviving, and because he loved Jack Buck. And so he's been part of his life ever since until Jack passed away. Yeah, I believe just a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. But so Sean did that movie. That's now on the network platform. And then prior to that, which in my personal opinion, and not anywhere because he's my boyfriend, he did a movie called Bow, Artist at War. That's on Apple TV. It does need to be purchased. But sadly, because of that political... It's basically about the Jewish concentration camps. A love story.
Yeah, but now the Jews are the bad guys.
I know, right? It's like
Israel is
timing,
the problem in the
right,
Middle East,
right.
people. Yeah.
And the timing of that just was terrible because he's won all these outside of awards that I personally believe should be out there right now in the Oscars because it's that good of a movie. It's called Bow, Artist at War. Love story,
Romance drama.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, Emil Hirsch. That's
yeah.
You
And
probably
Invar-
watched like Into the Wild, right? Where you played the kid Chris McCandless that went to Georgia Tech.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's that. That it's a very, very inspirational movie. Again, based on a true story. So yeah, so that's how we don't get to see each other often, which is hard, but when we see each other, it's amazing, and we get to hang. And he's actually starting a new movie out here in January with Ashley Judd. It's called 21 Down. That's going to be amazing. Again, based on a true story about a kid with Down syndrome who played football in college. So I was going to be the medic for it, but at the same time, my girl who always gives me movies came through with a movie, and so I had to take what...
Can't be two places at once.
I felt bad.
Sorry, honey, but yeah.
I did, and he pushed for me to be on that movie with him, and I appreciated it. But I was like, I have to go with what I've been consistently with this particular production manager.
I have a commitment already, and
Well, it happened to come through at literally the same time, and they're shooting the same time. I was like, really?
You can't move it for me. You can't move everyone else's schedules. Yeah.
Come on. So that was a very hard decision for me to make. But yeah, so I'll be starting a movie on January 13th with, it's called Mother's Helper. I have no idea what it's about. I haven't even read the script on it yet, but I have the script. I haven't read it. But I'll be starting that in January.
Now, yeah, that's really interesting because, beyond the drone work that we've talked about,
yeah.
I showed you some of our media content that we've started producing beyond just work for customers, more like commercial projects.
Yep.
I was just kind of frustrated, really, that we have all this ability and equipment, people around us that we can produce more original scripted content, but, we weren't. So got people together to say, hey, let's think about what we would like to see, what we would think is funny. And then we came up with, and actually Brian came up, I think, with the name Florida Man and the overall idea. Then we each started coming up with some ideas for different skits, essentially, for, Florida Man getting into trouble, really. And then it's kind of misguided trouble where, there's the news story like Florida man eats, a guy's face on bath salts, but it's just a misunderstanding, right? And at least the way that we're, portraying it. And we actually haven't done, a Florida man eats bath salts episode, but one, I guess, a better example, like the one featuring Develop Air where it's Florida Man versus Chinese spy drone. That was a spin on Florida Man, an actual true story, shot down a Walmart delivery drone, right? And so it's like, how can we, make a spin on that?
Yep.
And then one that's maybe more of a stretch as far as being more closely related to Florida Man that we're working on, which I had it right here. We have some 3D printed revolvers now given...
Cool.
We have some 3D printed revolvers. Now, these aren't actually like made to fire just yet.
Those are awesome.
Just yet.
That's awesome.
But they could be. And so you could put like stainless steel tubes and carbon fiber tubes in the cylinders.
It actually is a lot like my revolver.
And so they call it the Dirty Harry.
That's awesome.
Like Clint Eastwood, the Clint
Heck
Eastwood
yeah.
movie. But so we're making that as a prop, or made those as props for the Florida Man series, because the state of New York, they were proposing legislation to be added to a registry if you buy a 3D printer, because you can 3D print guns.
Sure enough,
And it's like,
there's another thing to keep track of.
Right. And one, I think that's unconstitutional. And it's like, where are you going to draw the line? Are you going to draw the line at, like, people can't go to a hardware store, and just buy parts,
exactly.
and build a gun? And it's just, you're making it easier for criminals to have access to weapons that, law-abiding citizens, by definition can't have access to. So I wanted to kind of make a social commentary on like the ridiculousness of it all, where it's like the reason why you don't 3D print a gun is because it's probably going to blow up in your hand, not because of some registry and the law that tells you not to, right? And now, given I think you should and could, if you want to, be able to 3D print a gun and fire it, just know, hey, it may blow up in your hand. And
enter at your own risk.
So the whole idea is that we print out the actually Florida Man, the main character, has a friend, Skeeter, that got on house arrest. And Skeeter's on house arrest, but in Florida Man and his common law wife's house. And so he ends up in this episode getting a 3D printer after he's already in house arrest. And Florida Man's like, why do we what can you even do with one of those things anyway? And then he pulls out you can make one of these.
Here we go.
And then they go to fire it, and then Skeeter shoots it, and it's like works out just fine, like for the first 3 shots. And then Florida Man's like, hey, that's pretty cool, let me give it a shot. Sights it in. Sights it in, gets a shot bullseye, like shooting at.
Nice.
And then it's like, hey, you're gonna have to make me one of these things. And then goes to fire it again, and then blows up in his hand. So working towards that. And then we've started working with the director that we're working with now, and then some of the other producers, Brian, who's kind of basically everything visual, from the cinematographer to the director of photography, kind of one and the same, I guess, in that context, but VFX person, editor. We're
jack of all trades.
Yeah, really.
The multi-talented.
The one that like takes all the the video and then makes it into an end product at the end.
Right.
Kind of important.
Absolutely, editing's a huge. That's Sean spends weeks doing editing, so that's the huge final product. that nobody sees until the end.
Well, and that's the thing, like for the first like couple of these Florida Man videos that we did in particular, the actors were like, everyone was having a good time on the set, but you don't know what it's going to shape up until you actually like see it. And, everyone was just kind of skeptical, and not that we create, these masterpieces of great work by any stretch of the imagination, but it was like, holy cow, that turned out a lot better than what we were kind of thinking. Like, wait, like these bullshit lines that we were reading and, this garage, turned into this. Wow, that's actually pretty incredible. So now we're starting to see how we can actually build that out into more of a pilot and more of a longer form series, even beyond the pilot. But instead of making these 3 to 5 minute sort of skits, a longer form, more well thought out characters, more background to them. And
I love it. I'm here for it.
So like I mentioned, love to incorporate you into that. Talked with the director, Jason, who's a great guy working with us. He's all for it as well. He was like, oh yeah, that's a given. Yeah, we're going to include her. And so as long as,
absolutely, I'm here for it.
And then, I guess along the same lines, we started. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Oh man, I don't even have the excuse of being old, right?
That's my department.
Talking about Florida Man, talking about you coming in and joining us with that. Man.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yes, I remember. Okay. Yeah. So going back to like some of the Florida Man episodes or skits being based off true events, something, and now this is like further out for me and have more than enough work to do with our drone production and just the development and coordinating all of that, orchestrating all of that. But I have had in my mind for the better part of the last decade, making my own Theodore Roosevelt series and a 3-part like movie series. And because I feel like he's this larger than life figure that, we've gotten all these other biopics over the last I mean, they've been around for a while, but definitely over the last couple of decades. And I feel like, wait, we really haven't one on Theodore Roosevelt.
And there you go.
I feel like he would be a very interesting figure, especially starting from his childhood where, I mean, he's often thought of as like the most prepared president, that we've ever had. And he was like 40, right? And so it's like he had a very full life up until he was 40, right? That oftentimes is just glossed over because we just think about his time as the president, right? And then a little bit afterwards. But especially with Sean doing the Reagan movie, I was like, that's very interesting. I would love to maybe pick his brain one day of like how he, how he got down the path that he did to doing these longer form, biopic, based off of a true story sort of projects. And
he loves talking about how he got started, because he actually got started by his very first any production gig was actually plugging in the jacks to Ronald Reagan's inaugural speech.
Wow. Okay. So that's a full circle for him.
For him to do Reagan, all that. So that's actually how his very first any kind of gig, and that was, how many million years ago, whatever. But and the fact that he's going to be in town, we might be able to make that happen on the weekend.
No, just out of curiosity, do you know off the top of your head how the Reagan project came together in the forms of like, hey, this is going to be the script, all the events that we cover from his life?
That I don't know. I know he was obviously very heavily involved in all that, but I don't, he can tell you firsthand. I guarantee, I shouldn't say I guarantee you. I am very positive that he could probably be on your podcast.
Okay, that would be great, Sean. I would love to talk with you because, I mean, Brian and I are kind of like opposite ends of watching movies. Like
Yeah.
him watching the movie, he'll break down like, oh, that lighting doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, or
Yeah,
you
there
know,
you go.
like,
Yep.
and then it's like, oh, I know that actor, or do you know like the director, the producer? I'm more about like how the people behind the
Right,
movie, and
the
he's
story,
more
yeah.
about like the
Technical side of it.
yeah.
Sure.
And now he sticks with like the plots and like the characters of the movie very
Right,
well,
right.
memorizes those, like memorizes lines. And again, it's for me, I'm always remembering the actors of the movies, the directors, the producers,
Yep.
but
Well,
works
I'll
out
talk
well.
to him when we leave today. I'll talk to him about it because he has his weekends free, so I can, I got a little connection.
Appreciate that. So now, just with your involvement in the movie, so we talked about your first time getting onto set.
Yeah.
Any other, beyond the Adam Sandler experience, especially on set, any medical crises? I know there's like HIPAA or whatever, so maybe not going
names
into...
will be
Yeah.
absent. So I did have this is kind of it's nothing major, but it was enough where he needed something. But so one of the prop masters had to bring a piece of glass, carry it over to set. I was literally right around the corner from him, obviously sitting there twiddling my thumbs, ready for action whenever I needed to be. And he comes, they call him to set, hey, we need that piece of glass. He comes around and that glass just slips right out of his hand, and it lands and slices him right in the thigh. Now, glass, the good thing about glass, if you probably have ever been cut by glass, but it's a nice clean.
Yeah, sterile.
Yeah. So sure as shit, I'm like, I was Johnny on the spot, got him, stopped bleeding. The transportation guy, ended up taking him to the hospital, and I said, you're going to get 5 stitches. He goes, how do you know that? I go, what are you looking at here, buddy? I go, 5 stitches.
I'm not an actor. I'm a real medic.
Right? I don't play one on TV. I don't stay at a Holiday Inn. So he goes, yeah, right. And I go, 5 stitches. I said, you call me when you're leaving the hospital, and we'll see how that turns out. So sure enough, he goes, you're right. 5 stitches. And I go, and you questioned my authority here, So that was one funny story. And he was fine. I've had a couple of cardiac events that I've had to send. See, when we're on the set, we don't get to transport them because I've got to stay on set. So I like anybody else, calls 911. So I've had to send a couple people for cardiac events. They're fine.
Now, do you think those cardiac events, and I don't know like how easy it is or how possible it is to tell, like, is it maybe the hours that they're working that maybe with like added caffeine, or do you think it's more genetic, or it's varied so much?
In the one case, I believe it was drug related. Because in the movie
having
industry,
a good time,
we have a lot of extracurricular activities. Just
marijuana,
right? But the other case was an older person, and I believe that was just either genetics or what have you, and of course their blood pressure detailed that and major symptoms. So. But and then of course when COVID hit, this is sad, but one of the transpo guys, who's the lead transpo guy, he's like, hey, I need you to come check me out. So I get in his vehicle, stupid me, get in his vehicle, check him out, because he was classic symptoms of being sick, flu-like symptoms at that time, COVID-like symptoms, and sure as shit, he pops positive for COVID, and guess who popped positive 2 days later? So you take the medic out, you're really screwed. But and sadly though, we lost him. He was one of our great guys. Randy had cancer a couple years later, and we lost him to cancer. So That's always hard because, your family, one of my very best friends, Tina, passed away from cancer as well a year ago. So that's how I met her. I met her on the movie set. She was very, very dear to me. So it's hard because, you lose
get close
your family.
to them. Yeah.
You get close to them. So, but yeah, so those were, other than that, I haven't had to do any CPR on anybody, haven't had to use my AED. You have boo-boos here and there. I did have to, I did a movie with Woody Harrelson, and he had a cut on his thumb. And one of his scenes, he had to hold on to, it was Zombieland 3, I think it was, whatever it was. He had to hold on to sorry, Mike, onto the bar so you could see the bandage. Well, all I had was the bright, colorful bandages. So they had to have somebody come in, the makeup and,
We'll take it on post.
Disguise it, yeah. Like, poor guy, he was like stuck with this orange thumb, And I'm like, sorry, those are the kind of bandages I have.
Yeah, making the makeup department
do their job.
Yeah, do their job. Yeah.
So, but yeah, meeting these guys. I hope it's okay. I got to meet Jackie Chan.
Okay, yeah.
Love him. I actually went up to him because typically we can't, as cast and crew, we can't come up and go, "Can we have an autograph?"
But it's Jackie Chan.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I grew up with this guy, watching this guy.
But
right?
like everyone did.
Exactly.
I grew up with Jackie.
Exactly. Right.
He's got to be one of the most famous people like in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And not just like fame but for being iconic, doing all of his own stunts, like being the man that you see on the screen, not like what they try
authentic himself, like. And he's just genuine as all get out. So now this was only like
he is a CCP sympathizer, but understandably so. It is, but like he is, and I think he has even like spoken out against his kids talking out against China. And
really?
And it's like it
is
your homeland, but now given there's the whole Hong Kong. Well, there's Taiwan and China. Given Hong Kong has pretty much, been claimed.
Right.
But yeah, some of those early. Sorry to cut you off
That's
there,
okay.
but
okay.
Some of those early Jackie Chan Hong Kong films are incredible. Like
absolutely.
You hear like Jackie Chan doing his own stunts, and even by the time he came
back
over
then.
to like Western movies doing Rush Hour, and it's still fairly incredible the stunts that he's doing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you go and like he's hanging out of a bus that like whipping around corners like by an umbrella, and it's like.
Incredible.
He is legit.
Very respected. Respect the shit out of him. So normally I'm spitting distance from me to him, like from these guys, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I don't care. It's a 4-day shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
So because they do reshoots, So I go up to him. I go, Mr. Chan. I go, I'm Kristine. I'm your medic. Hopefully you don't have to really see me in real life, in anything. He goes, oh, yes, ma'am. And I go, but I want you to know you're a badass. And I go, I'm sorry to say it that way, but, so I shook his hand and gave him a hug. I didn't ask for a picture or nothing. Now, Adam Sandler let me take a picture with me and my kids with him because he hung out with my kids as well. But that was cool. I was like, I got to tell Jackie Chan that he's a badass. I love that. So yeah, things like that, like you just can't. They're normal people, obviously. And Ralph Macchio was there too, super nice guy. But I didn't go up and go, "You're a badass too," because he is. But like you feel the room. You feel the crowd, and other people actually were going up to him as well. And I was like.
I'm not going to be left out. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to let all these. I was kind of the same way with Ken Burns. If you're familiar with him, he's the PBS documentarian that does like the Civil War documentary. Most recently did the American Revolution.
Cool.
in all like the editing programs, there's the Ken Burns effect, which is the effect where you like zoom in and pan on a photo, or zoom out and pan on a photo to give it a little bit of extra life. And he just popularized that. And so I had the opportunity to meet him a couple months back.
Sweet.
And of course, like super untactful. Yeah, it's just like, hey, Mr. Burns, big fan of your work. And then, actually pitch him on the podcast. But
Love
then,
it. Love it. Hey, you got him.
He clearly remembered me as the drone guy. I'll say that.
That's great. That is great.
But sometimes you just gotta
seize the opportunity.
I did get a photo with him after.
That's cool.
He was not so enthusiastic about it, because and like he was very welcoming when I first met with him, like earlier in the day, and but again, I was pitching him then on the podcast, like and not the best way. I basically just on repeat said, hey, I have a podcast that it's called Autonomous Humanity, and it's a double entendre. And the first meaning is we're going to come to live in a world of more drones and robots than people. And that's just already like, who is this crazy guy talking about like drones and robots going to be like more popular?
Okay.
And then so I repeat that like another one time, maybe like another time, just kind of nervous and trying to like speak properly, and then don't get out the other part, which I think he and I see eye to eye on, is autonomous humanity, meaning a government of the people for the people, right? A self-governing body as the founding fathers truly intended.
Right.
And I think we've gotten away from that, as a country.
Agreed.
And so that's where I think, we are going to live in a world that's, more drones and robots than people out in public.
Yep.
But at the same time, we need to use these drones and robots, as individuals, and not have them just in the power of the law enforcement agencies and the militaries and all the other large government agencies around the world. Of course, at least within the U.S., I want them to have access to that technology too, but not at the expense of the everyday person being able to own and use that same technology. So, we'll see. Maybe one of these days Ken Burns will come on as well. But
there you go.
Got
that's
the photo.
Cool.
That's what really matters, right?
Absolutely.
I got the proof. Yeah.
Well, that's like when I teach CPR, I use "Staying Alive." Right.
Yeah,
that's
Bee
one of the
Gees,
songs that we use. 100 exactly, right?
Cut that.
100 to 120 beats a minute, right? And so you have all the tunes. "Highway to Hell" is another one.
Okay.
But that theme is just not popular, so
doesn't have the same
have the same effect.
Hopeful beat of "Staying Alive."
Unless you had an argument with your neighbor, then you go "Highway to Hell, baby." But so John Travolta, I was a medic for one of his movies, and again, knowing that you're not supposed to, go up and do the whole "can I have your autograph," I'm like, I'm CPR Momma. On what planet am I not going to go, "Hey, JT, can I get a picture with you, please?" Because when I teach CPR, I always use your song, not that obviously, but, he's obviously the iconic one behind that song. And so I did. I was like, again, what are they going to fire the medic? I'm like, especially the CPR Momma medic. So I did. And I got my picture with John Travolta, a.k.a. JT.
We're on an initial basis. Right?
Well, so we get wrap gifts. So I'm sure you're familiar with wrap gifts. And so we've gotten some cool wrap gifts. But on John's film, we would have thought that we'd be, at least give me a cool ball cap or, awesome jacket, sweatshirt, what have you.
Give me a model of your 747.
Right, right. We got? We got a pen, an ink pen that says, "Love JT." I was like, that's it? That's our wrap gift?
Yeah, all of his money goes into filling up that 747.
Right. And I was like, I still love you, JT, but come on,
less now.
A pen?
Yeah.
So, I do have the pen still. But I also have the picture. He was like, "Oh, that's cool." So, yeah.
No, I know it's probably hard to pick favorites, but do you have a favorite either movie that you've been a part of, like as far as end product, and if different, favorite movie set experience you've been
Honestly, so I was able to do Bad Boys 3. I wasn't the set medic, but I filled in as a day player.
Is that the newest one that came out?
That is the last one that
Yeah,
came out.
okay,
Yes.
yeah.
In they were doing reshoots in Atlanta, and the magnitude. It was the final scene where all was it the airplane? I think it was something. I can't remember even what the magnitude of it, but it was. The set was just, and again, this goes to the crew that builds this shit. Let me tell you, the magnitude and the special effects and it's mind-boggling because I just stood there like, wow.
All this for like make believe to play
Right?
pretend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That people go, whoa, that was cool. The other set, besides, I would say On a Wing and a Prayer, because they built a Cessna in the studio, in this big warehouse. And that because the majority of the film was filmed in that airplane, of course. So that was cool watching that happen because, even...
It's all on a giant, like a gyroscopic
exactly.
motion
But
rig,
then at times, you had crew members like doing this to the airplane so that they could, move, act like it was funny.
Like
I was like, really? We can't,
There's not something more sophisticated
Right?
than getting a couple dudes, Yeah.
I had to laugh at that one. But the other one that I was on The Haunting of the Hill House. And I was part of the construction medic. And so watching those, again, the masters behind it, the construction crew that built that mansion. Have you ever seen Haunting of the Hill House?
Mm-mm.
You'll have to watch it now. You've seen
Brian has, yeah.
So you've seen that mansion? That was all inside the studio. I'm telling you, incredibly beautiful. Now, the outside walls are just the back of the cardboard, not the cardboard, but the walls. They're nothing behind it, but inside, spectacular.
Is this a series?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to watch that being built and sculpted, and just these people are incredible. I'm telling you, the construction workers that build this shit, incredibly talented. Like I'd be like, you build my house any day, because the talent that goes into that. And then of course,
real craftsmanship, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then even just the rigging of all the lights and the cameras and coming in from the top and the scaffolding and the intricacy of it all is incredible. The talent that goes into that is just incredible. So being
and none
on
of that,
was,
or a lot of that never, even is seen in the end deliverable. It just all is part of the environment that's crucial for the end deliverable to come out.
Absolutely.
So nicely. So it's very
and then that being
work.
said too, knowing how Sean, of course, has told me all kind of ins and outs of how his stuff works, and I like how his, him being a producer as well, of course, he thinks about the budget, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of lower budget, and I call a $6 million movie a lower budget film because it is.
Yep.
That's actually one of the lowest tiers, is in that $5-6 million range. And knowing that he takes that kind of a budget makes it look like it's a $20 million budget,
right?
Because of how he can work angles and work
being
the people, and and the talent that goes into that thinking is just mind-blowing, and it makes him a great director.
Yep.
And again, I'm not saying that just because he's my boyfriend. I'm saying that because it really, I've seen the ins and outs of it.
Right.
That movie, Bow Artist at War, I believe that was, and I hope, don't kill me if I'm wrong, Sean. I want to say that was an under 20 day shoot. I want to say that, but regardless, it was a lower shooting days. Like some of these movies are, 2, 3, 4 months shooting days, right?
Yep.
He gets it under a month and he puts out that product, and it's just incredible. And you go, how did you do that? And he keeps under the budget. He keeps on schedule.
Yeah.
He doesn't want his crew more than 10 hours a day.
Yep.
The thought that goes into all that is just mind blowing.
It really is incredible. One, see it, but then, when you're not there on set, for these movies, think about how or sometimes, after the fact, they're like behind the scenes or whatever, see how it all comes together. And I mean,
it's incredible.
Especially when you relate it to, something like we're doing at a much smaller, like you can see where there's similarities, but I mean,
absolutely.
It's a whole nother ball game when, you have, paid talent where, that takes up a good part of the budget there. If someone doesn't show up, has to call out, someone drops out, that could be a whole movie that gets canned or, pushed back. And,
absolutely.
That has downstream effects on the rest of it. And that's, again, where I'm more interested as well is like, even from like the drone production side, like, am I hands-on, like building drones? Yes, but where I am best suited is like the orchestration, right? Of like, all right, we have these people over here doing the software development, to make all of like the commands send properly, all the information. And then all of the software developers over here, we need to make it look aesthetically pleasing and like be intuitive, on the front end. And then, all right, now we actually need to have the people that design the drones and then all the electronics. And there's a lot that like goes into it that not any one person can really do all of those, but like there needs to be someone that has enough understanding of each of those to then bring it all together, on time, under budget.
Exactly.
And
final product.
And sometimes it's like, hey, we really don't have all the pieces to make it work ideally. Where can we be more resourceful and I don't want to say shortcut it, but make it work, right?
Make it work, and still come out with a great product. Absolutely.
I still say, we're in the progress of coming out with a great product.
Absolutely.
But it's like excited. A movie. I mean, it can be, and love to hear his thoughts about this. Where you hear some people have like a movie or a TV series, and it's like a decade in the making where they come up with it and, seemingly have everything ready to go other than, the
financial.
The finances to make it happen. And then it's like, hey, we're going to come back to that, but it might be like 5, 6, 7 years before we can even really get started with it. And then another 2, 3, 4 years of pre-production. And then, another 12 months of, a production timeline, then maybe even a little bit more post-production. And it's like all said and done, this one idea took a decade to realize.
Exactly.
Right?
Actually, I do know that Reagan was like that.
Okay.
That's been several years in the making.
There's hope for my Theodore Roosevelt movies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You talked about some of the movies that stand out, both from the end deliverable as well as like on-set work. But you've done a lot of work outside of movies as well.
Yeah.
Any of those like really stand out? I know you talked a little bit about the work that you're doing in Wyoming, but does that stand out? And then like I know you do quite a bit of work with animals, so beyond like caring for people, how does that kind of tie into the work that you do?
Okay, so the dogs.
Yeah.
So I have 2 dogs, Jenny and Red, and I happily had them trained by a board and train facility, which they were awesome. Rucker, shout out to Rucker, Scott Rucker, but
he's not going to be mad at you.
Oh, no. He's going to love the plug.
Well, I was going to say that it's Rucker and not Rucka.
Yeah. But he had one of his trainers, Sarah York, who worked for him at the time, and she's now on her own entity, and we still stay with Sarah. She's amazing. Her parents have a boarding facility as well, which they go to. So I am constantly in training with them. So Jenny is my crazy dog. She's you got to meet them, right?
No, no.
They were in the ambulance when
Yeah,
I came over.
yeah, no.
I think I kept them in there so that they'd be separated, because Jenny's my Carolina dog that she's a hunter, so she's always on the lookout for everything. But in Red's just playful and I'll do anything you ask me to do, thing. So,
are they both mutts or are they curs of some kind?
So Jenny is a Carolina dog wannabe. So we
Okay.
call her my gateway dog to Carolina dogs. But Carolina dogs are actually a primitive breed. Yeah, look them up. I call her my gateway dog because she looks like one, but she's not truly a true 100% Carolina dog like all my other friends are. But because of that, I'm in the Carolina Dog Society and have the best family there ever. And so I've done a lot of. We used to get together every year, and so I was the medic for them for every time we'd get together. And then I did a couple of pet first aid classes for them. So that was fun, but yeah, so they're primitive and amazing.
I think we're sharing our screen, but if not, just say, I probably just lost the screen there with the HDMI cable.
Sorry.
But yeah.
That's actually not a very good rendition of a Carolina dog, frankly. Let's see. Yeah, that's a better one.
Yeah, I don't know if he...
Okay.
Yeah.
They kind of remind me of like my dog Digby that you met, like a southern cur or a blackmouth cur, where
sorta. Yeah. They've got the erect ears but so we're trying to get them. They're UKC registered, but my Carolina dog friends, but AKC is still in the works. So you're not going to see them in the AKC, all breed show and all that kind of stuff, but you'll see UKC. So we're just getting that breed standard out there. But because of them, I of course bring them everywhere I go, right? And my one friend who's part of the Carolina Dog Society, she does Rover full time. So I was like, well, I can do that. I can wear another hat of Rover.
Rover, I'm not familiar with that.
So Rover, you people who need babysitters for their dogs.
Okay.
They go,
got it.
Hey, are you available? So I got my first Rover gig this past week. I've been with them. Today is my last day with little Ellie. She's a bulldog. She's awesome. Love her to death. But so that kind of, I'm all about training dogs, and my dogs are very well trained and off leash trained and all that kind of stuff. But so they go with me all these places. So in Wyoming, I do what's called work camping. So basically it's out of my element of anything I've ever done in my life, which is housekeeping. So in Wyoming, I am at an amazing place called Longhorn Ranch and RV Resort, where I do housekeeping. I do the laundry. I do the office. They have a front office and everything, where you check in people and all that. I do the hot tub. I'm the hot tub since aquatics, it's right up my alley. And then I'm their backup medic as well. And that's just, voluntary, which I had several people I had to help out, one of which I put a fire out in a vehicle, treated for smoke inhalation. I had a kid put a hook in his thigh because he went this way and never came back out. So we had to get that hook out. We had a stroke
I have definitely
patient.
not had that happen before.
that was
not
real
to
fun.
that degree, but like I was able,
Work it
fishing
out.
as a young kid.
Yeah, because you got to poke that bad boy back through.
Yeah.
We had a stroke patient, sadly. The family sadly waited too long. They just thought he was, too tired or something like that. So sadly, he passed. But so that's been fun. But and I love it. Because I'm a medic, I keep things clean anyway. So I'm like, when I did the interview with the guy, I go, I go, so look, I told him up front, I go, I've never done housekeeping before in my life. I said, but I'm a fast learner, I'm a hard worker, and I'm a medic, so I keep things clean. You show me how to do it, and I will do it like you told me to. And sure enough, so now they're having me back again, and I'm going to go back every year.
That's awesome.
And and they have horses right there. Like my dogs are in heaven because they can go in the pasture right next to the horses. They've become friends with the horses. It's awesome.
That's great.
We're living the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you always been a dog person?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up with dogs. My brother's got a dog. So yeah, I grew up with dogs.
And so you've had 2 dogs now.
Yep.
For how long have they been?
Jenny is 7 and Red is 8. So
Jenny and Red, okay.
both of them were just under a year when I got them both. So yeah.
And they go with you, like as you're saying, Wyoming. Did they go with you to Alaska?
Wow. Alaska.
Yeah.
They loved Alaska.
And
awesome.
you said they're off leash trained, so like I don't know if you've ever done this. We talked. You also have an e-bike, right?
Yes.
I've
got a
have you ever
e-bike.
gone like riding on your e-bike, and do they like ever go along with you?
They do
Okay.
actually. So there's a thing called bike join. And what they do is they put a pole out the front of your bike. It's a little attachment. And then you put the leash lead through that so that it doesn't get caught up in the spokes and stuff. And then it's like sled dogs. And I have 2 harnesses that are just like sled dogs. And they basically can pull you. If you want them to pull you, they can pull you, but you have to do certain, left and right and stuff like that, which I'm not 100% trained. They're not 100% trained on it. So if Jenny sees a squirrel, I'm screwed. So, but that's a thing. Bike join is a thing.
Did I show you my dog Digby pulling me on the skateboard?
No.
Yeah.
I
So
want to see that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's probably the same. You probably just go.
Yeah, so I don't have like now I have one of those like waist leashes, so I can be like hands free. But he's kind of like a sled dog in that sense, as you're talking about. Let's see, Jake Digby Run 2024. And we have a mile-long loop that we do in our neighborhood.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's actually 1.01 miles. Let's see if... Does it still look like you're getting feed over there?
Oh, that's awesome. Mush. That's awesome.
This is actually going kind of slow, but...
That is awesome. Oh, and he loves that.
Oh, anytime I get out his harness, he's just...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All about that.
Down.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah, I forgot. I think we did that mile, 1.01 miles, and a little over 4 minutes on that time. But his record for pulling me that 1.01 mile loop is 3 minutes and 27 seconds, which faster than any human mile.
Awesome.
So,
absolutely.
And, given, he's a 4-legged dog, but he's also pulling, me on a skateboard up hills and some parts. And so,
oh, yeah. Well, speaking of speed, so there's an AKC sport event that's called Fast Cat. So it's a 100-yard dash for dogs.
Okay, wow.
And it's straight shot. Typically, you want to have this, flat as possible, but sometimes there's a little bit of an incline and, so times are going to vary. Jenny's fastest fast cat, because she's fast as lightning. She's 100% muscle. I mean, there's a little bit of fat on her now because I've been a bad mom. But but her fastest time was 7.2 seconds flat.
Wow.
Which runs about 28.1 miles per hour. Something like that. 28.2.
And that's probably
like
not even close to her full speed, like by the time that...
Well, that's her fastest time.
Right.
Now, she's done it a handful of times.
But I'm just saying, like, she's probably not at her top speed by the time, like, the
absolutely.
end of...
Yeah, by the time the 100-yard dash is over. Yeah. You should see her. When she's going after an animal,
A deer, a squirrel. Yeah.
Now she's taken me out twice without me, expecting it. She took me out from behind. I actually had a mild concussion because she's 54 pounds of pure muscle.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, because I called her thinking she was coming from that way, and she was coming from that way, and she just took me out. So that's a fun sport that she falls in love with. Basically, they put white plastic bags.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like the greyhound races,
Yep.
right? Now greyhounds fly, man. They're sub 7 seconds. They're incredible.
Yeah, because
But-
I've seen like some dogs, I think like greyhounds and others,
Yeah.
I think their top speed is above 50 miles per
Oh,
hour.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're incredible. Yeah. Whippets and greyhounds are the fastest.
Yeah.
But man, watching them run. And I've got some badass pictures of her at the end catching the thing. Like I've got one that she's all curled up and like, like, and I'm like, you don't want to mess with Jenny. She loves people. But there's been 2 people actually on the movie set that were background people or something that she growled. And you want to listen when Jenny growls.
Yeah.
She don't like somebody, she's going to let you know. And there's only 2 people that she hasn't liked.
I think people by and large have that same intuition. We're just like we massage it out of ourselves
Yeah.
by and large, you know.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
not us, you know.
Right.
but yeah.
dogs are just
Right.
so
They're so in tune
intuitive to
with
that.
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that.
She'd protect me in a heartbeat of anybody bad coming along. Other than that, she'll love the death out of you.
Now, how did you hear about these events?
Through the Carolina Dog
Okay.
Society, yeah. So a lot of the Carolina dogs participate in not just confirmation, which is the showing, but they do all the different sports. So like Jenny's done barn hunt. So barn hunt, they put these live rats,
Okay, yeah.
in these PVC type containers that are, dog proof, so that when a dog lifts it up,
Yeah.
the rat still lives. It's okay, PETA, we're okay. And they hide them in these bales of hay. So when you're a novice, you only have one rat you got to find. But so you have a certain amount of time, and they have to go through a tunnel, and they have to climb on top of the hay bale as part of their transition. But when they find the rat, if you really think that they have found the rat, the owner has to say rat. And you get qualified as whatever, position you're qualifying for. Jenny is, of course, obsessed with it because she's obsessed with rats.
Yeah.
And any kind of varmints that are in her way.
Possums, squirrels. Yeah.
Exactly.
Chipmunks.
Exactly. She's killed many, many.
Bunnies.
Cats, sorry.
Any turtles?
but-
Well, we're getting outside the movie.
I know, right? But so, when she gets it, she'll pick it up and she'll take it wherever. And so I tell her to drop it, and she has to drop it. But so there's that. There's barn hunt. There's scent training. She's done scent stuff. She's not gone into it really in depth, but she's did the starting where they give you a certain scent and they have to find it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are else? Some of the other events. There's a whole bunch of different sporting. Oh, dock diving. Some of my friends do dock diving.
That's the one like they jump off. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. I used to
and
watch.
They catch the thing.
What was the actual event called on like Animal Planet? They had like the dog shows, but it wasn't just the one like, hey, let me prance around this little indoor arena with my dog.
That's confirmation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they in the background they have all these different sporting events going on. And like Fast Cat also has Cat, which is a 600-yard course of the white bag flying all over the place, which is how actually Jenny got involved in it, because she knows that the plastic bag ain't no animal. So they're like, how do you get them hooked on that? So you take them out onto the 600-yard course, and then as soon as they understand it, it kicks in. And the guy that was doing the controlling of the lure course, he goes, man, that dog's beautiful. He goes, watching her do her thing is just incredible, So I was like, yeah, she's badass, because she really looks, all her muscles are in full gear,
Yeah.
engaging. So, but yeah, it's fun. So
Now, what age do you think a lot of the dogs like age out of being able to compete at the highest levels in these sorts of competitions?
Some of these dogs are older than Jenny is. That some of my friends, I've got a couple in one's in Colorado and one's in Michigan, and they're older than Jenny, and they still actively do dock diving. In fact, they're in some of the national competitions now. Because they're that good.
You think even like for sprinting, or does that have like an earlier,
it's funny because some of the younger dogs, they don't really they haven't found their legs yet, right?
Yeah.
I've got some that are just over a year old friends that have their puppies, and they don't really get it yet. But I tell you what, with practice and stuff, they'll be flying. That being said, it just depends on how often you do it. I don't do it often enough to keep Jenny engaged and in shape, but some of my friends, they are constantly.
That's their full time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, I even, feel bad about Digby because he's like a working class sort of dog, right? That he really should have like a full-time.
Something to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally strenuous.
Absolutely.
8 hours plus a day, that's not actually the case, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I remember back when I was first starting with doing the penny board pulling or the mushing or whatever, right? And had him on like a great diet, whatever. And so I looked, I don't like long distance running whatsoever, even though I played soccer growing up. But I was like, let me look for a fun event to do with Digby, and did a dog 5K. But
I've seen those. Yeah. I'd love to do one with Jenny.
Yeah, that was great. And I wish, in hindsight, I would have done better, right? But I thought we had a whole nother lap to do, and we had started walking and then running, but still did technically second, but really first.
Nice.
We did like a 22 minutes, something it was like a little bit like 21 or 7+ minutes a mile, something like that.
That's awesome.
I was like, yeah, and that was with
you've
quite
never
a bit
done it before,
and it was with quite a bit of walking, and honestly, just not having Digby well trained going into that for doing that sort of event, especially he was so used to pulling me on a skateboard.
Right.
And then when we're running, especially when we're in the lead, then he would want to go backwards where all the other dogs were. And I was like, no, dude. So we
Keep going.
Yeah, we would get in the front and then start walking. Definitely not because I also wanted to walk, but I would then use it. Yeah, I used that as an excuse. All right, we'll just let the second place person, go ahead of us, and then let them, and then we'll catch back up, and that's what we did. And then I thought we still had another lap to do, and then I was like, oh man, we could have easily came in first.
Exactly.
And so I like to say technically we came in first because one of my business partners actually came out and did the event with us, and he went ahead of the person with her and her dog.
Okay.
Really kind of came in first, got the first place medal, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But still, that's so rewarding.
First in heart, yeah.
It's okay.
First at heart, yeah.
We'll take the first. We'll say you got first.
But no, I mean, the real first place was doing that with Digby, and that's why I was like, man, I would have loved to find like a sprinting event like that earlier on. I'm thinking now he's 9 years old, maybe, past his peak doing something like that, but
But again, with the practice and the time put into it, you never know. I mean, if I can get her back to running fast weight again, I've cut back on her food a little bit now, so that's good. But like when I was in Alaska, we were constantly, because when we were camping and stuff, we'd go and we'd hike all these hills, and it's just gorgeous. And Wyoming's the same thing, gorgeous as well, but I didn't do as much hiking in Wyoming as I wanted to, which I'm going to do this next summer because I'm going back. But like if I kept up with it and stuff with her, absolutely.
How much of off-leash training is just keeping up with it, do you think, and like practice versus there's up front a lot more training that you have to do?
So the upfront training I did was what's called board and train, right? So you leave them there, and hers, I want to say hers was 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
And they don't run them every single time of the day, but when there's a lot of mind engagement and besides the actual physicality of it, that takes a lot out of them. So they get tired easily. And so they only really work them like 2 or 3 times a day because, again, of exhaustion, and you're constantly engaging them. So that being said, it still took her like 2.5 weeks to really get her engaged. And they use an e-collar where it beeps, it makes a tone. But with her, if she goes after an animal that I don't want her to, I can actually put the actual shock on it.
Yep.
And you can control that with a number. And I don't ever, unless it's a dangerous situation, I'm not going to raise it super high on her because I don't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
But that being said, if she's in a dangerous situation, you damn Skippy, I'm going to
like
raise that number.
It's like your kid about to, run across the street.
Exactly.
You give a little spank. Not because, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah. But Red didn't take as long as she did because Red's very compliant. I don't even have to have a collar on Red, and I can recall him just like that. Now, that being said, I don't have to with her. If I know that I'm in control of the area, I can recall her in a second as well. But it's a constant practice, And so there's my buddies, so that's, you're always in practice mode, making sure that, she's obeying, even on basic commands: sit, down, wait, walk over to the other side, make them wait. In fact, at my friend's house, we had them back where.
And feel free to come on in. There's a couple seats available. Sorry, it's a little bit of a mess, but make yourself at home.
Hi guys. So they have a back porch, and I taught my friend Karen how to get her to stay and wait, and she was very good at it. She did the commands very well. Very proud of her. But you're always in practice mode. You always want to be working with them and making sure that they're remembering the stuff. But then I also have them trained to do tricks.
Yep.
So I've taught Jenny how to say hello. These guys have witnessed it.
She
says it in a deep voice. So
Okay.
you go, Jenny, say hello, and she's like, hello. It's hilarious. But so
I've been smoking for 3
exactly. But you want to keep them engaged,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is always I'm the master. I'm supposed to be in the control. And if there's something wrong with the dog, it's the human fault, not the dog's fault.
Yeah.
Because the human has to keep up with it.
I have no problems. No.
I fully admit, if I don't keep up with it, she owns the land.
Yeah, I did a little bit of like off leash, not formal training, with Digby when we first got him. I was working up on like the back hill in my parents' yard, building like a charcoal kiln, I think is what it's called, right?
Oh, okay.
That you basically put wood and like
Right.
you like burn it and turn it into charcoal.
Cool.
And I had him like coming up there with me just while I was working on it before we had like a fence up there, and he would do good by and large. And then even when I would turn away, he's just like right up there. But then there's a squirrel that comes along and
Yep.
he's gone.
Yep.
And then
So much for that.
yeah, you brought it up, and I was like, man, that would be so great because I just on Christmas Day went out and did an e-bike ride on the Greenway with my
Nice.
cousin.
Yep.
And there's this guy with a border collie, or at least looked like a border collie, just like right behind him, as like well trained as you could ever imagine, just like lockstep and key with the guy, at a nice, like just very
Nice heel.
moderate pace, and it's like. Especially with all the deer and the squirrels around, like Digby would have been a goner. I was like, man, that would be so cool to be able to work that out. But there's obviously a lot of time to get them to that point, and then keep them at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, you're in constant training mode.
Well, let me ask you this: is there anything else that you would like to cover or discuss that we haven't already? I know your friend showed up, so we can give them a little bit more of a insight into the work we do here before we head out to the drone park. But
I would just say, I think for me personally, I say, live your dream. We talked about this beforehand. I am not interested in having to be a millionaire. I don't need a lot of extra money. I just want to be able to survive, do what I love to do, which I've honed into, kind of whittled it down, like I talked about earlier, and just be happy. Living your life happy is what it's about. Family, friends, and what you love to do.
I agree. Yeah. Fulfilling work and fulfilling purposeful work, building a family to share it with, giving back to those around you. I mean, that's
absolutely
what really matters. And of course, your own personal health, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And my best friend gave me this hat for Christmas, and it really says it all. I love dogs and maybe 3 people. I'll
have to either fight to be one of those 3 people. If not, we'll have to change it to 4.
But as you live your life, you learn who your friends are. You learn who your family is. I love my family and I love my friends, and I have very few that I can probably count on my hand that really stick with you throughout life. And that, it's your ride or die people, and it's doing what you love to do with the people you love to do it with.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too much like Vin Diesel from Fast and the Furious here, if you're familiar with it. Yeah. People like to say you can't choose your family, but I beg to differ. You can, and that's where I don't mean to say this because some people are like, you're just trying to be Mr. Cool. I don't really get the whole idea of friends. It's either we're working together or maybe not by blood, but we're family.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do everything that I would do for my brother, my mom, my dad for you. But it's I really just don't have time for friends. If we're not working together or you're not part of helping
family,
me and me helping you to get by life.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I agree. Yeah.
But Kristine, thank you again for coming to join us here for this
for
podcast, and looking forward to getting out to the drone park and getting your thoughts on our development platform drones.
Absolutely.
We're working on the prosumer drone platforms to uproot DJI and make America great again. Make America. I'm sorry. I do the Trump impression way too much. Never a good one, but
that's okay.
I have fun with it.
It's an excellent slogan.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and Kristine, thank you again.
Thank you. It was fun.
My pleasure.